Now that we have our walls in place and a basic understanding of creating layers and fill layers, we can use the same process to do our flooring. Now, we could be filling our floor in with solid colors again, like we did with the walls, and that would be fine. But if you want to do something a little bit more realistic that represents your design a little bit better, you might be using patterns. You might scan in materials that you have, or you might be finding them on the internet, and that's the kind of example that I'm going to show you. So what we're going to be doing is looking at a tileable texture that we're going to be using in our rendering. I'm going to go ahead and open those up so you can see what they look like. So I'm going to go up to File and Open and show you a few examples. So I have things in here like floral patterns that we'll use on the beds, laminate countertop, tile, and wood floors. So at this point, I'll open up Wood 1 here so we can take a look at it. And this is a good example of a tileable texture. What that means is that when it's put into a repeat to fill a larger space, like a floor, that it will actually look nice, look seamless, instead of looking like a checkerboard. So if you're doing an internet search, what you want to do is say that you're looking for a tileable texture. Otherwise, you get kind of funny edges and things like that. Once we have our image, and if we needed to fix any mistakes or something like that, we could. All we need to do is tell Photoshop, I want you to use this as a pattern. It's extremely simple. What we do is go up to the word Edit at the top of the screen, come down past the middle and say Define Pattern. Simply click on that, and it will ask you if you want to change the name. I think the pattern name is fine. Say OK. And it doesn't really look like anything happened, but it's in Photoshop's memory, and you'll see that in a minute. I'm going to go back to my floor plan file now, and we'll actually put that into practice. So the first step in this process would be to select the areas and create a mask, just like we did with the walls. Remember, to do that, you need to highlight the floor plan outline layer, the layer that has all of that line work information, and then use your selection tools. At this point, I still think the magic wand is going to be the most useful. And then we'll come in, and I'm just going to select the areas of floor that I'm interested in. So I'll click inside this bedroom, for example, and notice when I do that, it's only doing this continuous or contiguous space. So I'll need to be careful and get inside of the closets, for example, things like that. So I have to really kind of watch where that's going. Notice that it did not get in this doorway here, or maybe inside of this little closet area, and so on. So once you get all of the areas of flooring selected, what we can do is come down to our black and white cookie to create a new filler adjustment layer. But this time, instead of saying solid color, I'm going to pick that third one down and pick pattern. Now, it will always put in the last pattern that was created, so it actually just put in that wood floor for me already. So that's looking great. Notice that you can change. So if I click on this little vertical arrow button, I could come in and pick a different pattern. So I have a lot of different options in here from different projects, or actually even some of the ones we'll be using later. So I could be changing that to a floral pattern, this one, tile, something crazy, whatever it might be. So I'll just go back to that wood floor again. And then see that you can actually change the scale right here. And this is one of the really powerful things about using this tool. So it's coming in at 100%, but I could certainly change that to 30, for example, and that'll make the pattern a lot smaller and a lot tighter. Or I could say, 200 and make it a lot bigger. You'll also see that there's a slider available if you don't want to type the numbers in. I will keep it at 100%. I think that happens to look pretty good. And I'll say OK. Over my layers palette, I happen to have another adjustment layer here. Here's a little thumbnail showing that it's a pattern. It kind of looks like brick. And here is a preview of what that mask looks like. Instead of pattern fill 1, I'm going to change that to say something like wood floor. We'll use the same process to go through and pick areas for tile. So I will do changing it to my floor plan outline layer. I will make sure I have the magic wand tool selected, and this time I'll go in and pick my bathroom, the kitchen, the utility room, any areas that I want to have a tile floor, for example. I will make a new fill layer. This time it'll be for pattern. And then I can come in and pick the tile floor that I have in here. Maybe this one or that one. That one's looking pretty good. And OK. I'll change the name to something like utility floor. Enter. And I'll do the same process for the deck. So don't forget, the real process for getting those images in here is to simply locate them, find whatever images that you like. For example, maybe I'll get something that's looking like this. Once you have an image you like, you say Edit, Define Pattern, and that puts it in Photoshop's memory. So then you can come in and use those anywhere you want to in your rendering.